Can you describe yourself in one word? I find it pretty tough, and it's also what I aim to tackle by the end of this talk. I know it's been said over and over, be yourself, be you, be unique, but at the end of the day, they're just words, and you can't help it if you listen to media or want to look like an Instagram model or just want to be popular or famous or VIP. See, I don't think it's even human nature to want to be liked. I think it's just biological programming. A flower will try and grow bright and beautiful, a peacock will flash its feathers, a lion will fight to the death just to get respect. And I think that's where our insecurities come from, and that's why we seek acceptance. And that leads me to two concepts I think I had to overcome to find my identity. The first thing is an Oreo. And I don't mean the cookie, but when you picture an Oreo, it's brown on top, brown on the bottom, and has a white filling. These days, it's also a word given to black people who are seen as being white on the inside. That is to say, according to the Urban Dictionary, that they have developed the values, behaviors, and attitudes of upper middle class white society at the cost of their own heritage. And that last part was really important to me because at the time, I thought, what if I'm an Oreo? What if I'm losing my heritage and therefore my identity? Being half Jamaican, half British, resident of Poland, Hungary, and Ireland, student of French, British, and Irish schools with an Arabic name, I felt like I had no strong identity, and I needed my heritage. And I also thought, well, less than 5% of all my acquaintances and friends have been black, let alone Jamaican. And I've always gone to predominantly white schools. And when I say predominantly white, there's never been more than about 10 black people in the whole place. And that is not something I could ever want to change. I would never want to change my life. And it's now that I realize, at the time, I wasn't actually afraid of being an Oreo. I was afraid of being called an Oreo. Because at the end of the day, you can never lose who you are, but you can be afraid of who people think you are. I used to actually think that if I wasn't seen as black, I wouldn't be anyone different or special compared to the others around me. And it sounds silly to say now, but that brings me to my next concept, which will help explain it. I call it positive racism. And don't be fooled by the positive, because it's not. And don't focus on the racism part either, because this is my story, but really it can discriminate in whatever way it wants. It can be gender, sexuality, it can be appearance, which I think is a big one. Examples of positive racism can come from, the fact that I move around every now and then, school to school, country to country, and I know what it's like to want to fit in, especially when you're a teenager. So when random people would approach me and touch my different hair, and this was all before I knew even their names, I wouldn't complain. When I was picked as one of the first on sports teams because they assumed I was athletic and fast, I wouldn't complain. And when I was stopped in the streets of Warsaw with people telling me I'm exotic and asking where I'm from, I wouldn't complain either. Because at the end of the day, when you're young and you're looking for acceptance, you take it in whatever form it comes in. And that's where people find themselves being vulnerable to stereotypes and just pushing themselves into categories that they might not be at all. And that'll slap me in the face one day when a really close friend of mine said, Zahra, when I heard there was a black person in our school when you first came, I knew we had to be great friends. And I'm sorry, but there's no circumstance where I would take that as the compliment it's trying to be. Because all I heard was, I wouldn't be friends with you if you weren't black. And then there I am wondering why I'm trying to fit into these categories I've been assigned to, when really I was just trying to fulfill the expectations I thought other people had of me. When a close friend said, I didn't befriend you because of your personality or anything, but purely because of the color of your skin at first, it hurt. And at the time, I probably responded and shrugged it off and said something like, sorry with the whole half black thing, I'm only half the fun. But I actually took it really seriously. And for ages, I felt like the black friend people talk about when they say, I'm not a racist, one of my closest friends is black. And that's a really awkward position to be in, because people aren't gay pride flags to be waved around or medals to be worn. I feel like these days, especially on media, there's people who want pats on the back just for showing they're accepting and not racist, when really it shouldn't be a challenge in the first place. The truth is, when people say things like, I love black people, it's kind of offensive because To me, it doesn't translate as equality because that would sound more like, I love all people. To me, it sounds like, I love the stereotypes associated with black people. And I think that's where you find people pushing themselves into stereotypes and categories just to feel relevant and liked and accepted. A blonde might act dumber, a Irish guy might make his accent stronger, a girl might wear makeup not because she wants to, but because she doesn't want to appear unfeminine. See, positive racism is a hard thing to tackle because it's so subtle, and I think what helped me overcome it is realizing that it was mostly self-inflicted. While society did play a big part. But it was me who was listening to rap music or learning Jamaican slang. It was me who was letting people call me exotic and touch my hair and call me athletic. And the thing is, stereotypes are stereotypes, and if you let one through, the rest are gonna follow, whether you use them to your advantage or not. I mean, to me, I just find stereotypes ridiculous and a coincidence of anything. I mean, sure, I'm Jamaican, sure, I love reggae, but I don't see any correlation at all. I don't think things like that would really impact what I like and what I do. And just another thing, I don't know who came up with the whole thing with black people loving chicken because it's an international staple food. Who doesn't like chicken? But coming back to the question, can you describe yourself in one word? I would say no, because for me to assign myself one word is to exclude all the other great things I might be. Also, to assume, like stereotypes, there's a category out there for you that you automatically belong to is also ridiculous. And you might sit there and think, I'm not really affected by stereotypes and things, but why do you think people gravitate towards reading horoscopes or going to psychologists or just supporting sports teams, for example? It's a sense of belonging, it's a sense of identity, and it's easier to be told who you are than to have to figure it out yourself. And I'm by no means perfect. I like those sorts of things, but I've learned not to take them seriously. And as a proud Gemini, I would just like to say, be the cream, be the cookie, be the whole damn Oreo, whatever flavor or mix of flavors you might want to be. Because whoever said that you should be whatever it says on your packaging is just wrong, and they've been proven over and over again. You see, it's those people who break categories and who break stereotypes who are out there changing the world, making history, who are proud of who they are. Eminem, a white rapper, can break stereotypes in the rap world. Patty Jones, an 80-year-old grandma from the UK, can become a famous acrobatic salsa dancer. And yeah, Meghan Markle, an American actress descended from a family of African slaves, can become the next member of the British royal family. So don't be a slave to categories. And if you do fit into one, good for you. Because as long as you can look into the mirror and say, that's me, then you can safely assume you found it. Your own category, your own word, your own identity. Thank you.